Shalom.
First and foremost, we give our praises and glory to
Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushua, Bashem, Kakadash.
Give honors to the apostles of Jim, Mention of Ruel. Shalom to the faithful men as always continuing doing the work of the Lord. And of course, Jim is Columbus, Ohio once again with a class, Lord willing. Because last class we spoke about King David putting these different nations into subjection. And just going into the rule of King David and how that's going to be a prelude to the kingdom, because in the kingdom it's going to be the house of David ruling, Yahweh first and foremost, on down in the order. But so you seen King David, he took over, he put nations under captivity and killed 2/3 of the Ammons and the rest of them. He put them in slavery. And then when his son came, King Solomon, you see what I'm saying? Then the Lord made his reign peaceful, and you see King Solomon was very rich, he was very wealthy, he had hella wives, he had, all that, temples and houses, and we're gonna get into all that, Lord willing, and that is a prelude to the kingdom. That's what the kingdom of heaven is gonna be, and so Lord willing, and of course, top of that, King Solomon, we know what that is, is Yahweh Shai, if you can receive it, you know what I'm saying? So, somebody got that article queued up?
Yes, sir.
Before we get, matter of fact, read that. Can you skip down to where it got that First Kings 3:2? Because just to show, King Solomon, he asked for wisdom first, and then the Lord blessed him for everything else, You know what I'm talking about?
Is it on the article?
Yeah. Is right. Matter of fact, you can start like right here and then. Okay.
All right, it says, this is out of BibleStudy.org. It says, shortly after King Solomon became the king, the Eternal appeared to him in a dream and offered to give him anything. 1 Kings 3 verse 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, can we get that on hold too, Shah? While you reading that? You got it.
Which included being wealthy, as were most kings on the earth. He requested, however, an understanding heart, verse 9, out of 1 Kings 3:9, I believe, so that he could fulfill his responsibilities as king over all of Israel. The Most High's response to his selfless request was amazing and unique.
Right, so it's the same thing with us, in this our particular situation, we gotta forsake ourselves, we gotta forsake the world, and in return as reward, the Lord gonna give us everything, because what the Lord said, seek first the kingdom of heaven and God, and all these things shall be added unto you, and this is a perfect example of that, but we got that precept.
So 1 Kings 3, let's start at 5. It says, in Gibeon, Yahweh appeared to Solomon in a dream by night. And the Most High said, ask what I shall give thee. And Solomon said, thou hast showed unto thy servant David, my father, great mercy, according as he walked before thee in truth, and in righteousness, and in uprightness of heart with thee. And thou hast kept for him this great kindness, that thou hast given him a son to sit on his throne, as it is this day. And now, O Yahweh, my God, thou hast made thy servant king instead of David, my father. And I am but a child. I know not how to go out or come in. And thy servant is in the midst of thy people, which thou hast chosen, a great people that cannot be numbered nor counted for multitude. It says, give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this thy so great a people?
Right. And that's the main point, right? Well, you got a little bit more, but that's the main thing right there. He said, give me an understanding heart. You know what I'm saying? He didn't ask for all the other extra shit. He asked for wisdom, knowledge, understanding first and foremost. And then in return, it's going to say it.
Verse 10, and the speech pleased the Lord, that Solomon had asked this thing. And the Most High said unto him, because thou hast asked this thing, and has not asked for thyself long life, neither has asked riches for thyself, nor has asked the life of thine enemies, but has asked for thyself understanding to discern judgment.
You're right, because imagine if a 2/3 YN, if the Lord came down and be like, I give you anything, what you want? You know, they probably gonna be like, I want to have the streets on lock. You know, some crazy
Hellcat.
stupid, big booty bitches, and you know all that. My enemies, I want to kill all my enemies.
Yeah,
my
ops.
Right.
I want to catch my ops slacking.
Yeah, rapper and shit. You know, that's how far these niggas' mindsets are. That's why the Lord likened them unto heathen. But we gotta be like this righteous man, you know, which we know who that's to be Yahushua. When Yahushua was on the scene, you know, but he said, "Not my will, but thy will be done." You know, and now look at Yahushua. Now he's at the right hand of the Most High. You see, and Lord willing, we're gonna be joint heirs with him, so we're gonna get a little part of that too. We get the riches and glory and all that.
We're gonna be partakers.
Yep. And I got a quick precept for that right quick. Sirach 10, and I'm gonna start at 20. It says, among brethren, he that is chief is honorable, so are they that fear the Lord in his eyes. The fear of Yahweh goeth before the obtaining of authority, but roughness and pride is the losing thereof. Right, so King Solomon had rule because he feared the Lord. You know what I'm saying? And that's why Esau is about to lose his rulership, you know, because he got pride and roughness. All right, whether he be rich, noble, or poor, their glory is in the fear of the Lord. You know, and you had many different examples of men that was rich, like Abraham, Lot. They were so rich they had to split. You know, there was too many things going on. You know, too many families, and you know they had to split up. You see, Job. You know, but now it's not really expedient because you know you got too much going on right now. They ain't a good time and place for that. You know, but we will get that in the kingdom. So Lord willing, we can go ahead and go back to that article.
Back at the article.
Just go into you know how Solomon asked for wisdom. Wisdom of Solomon 7.
Yeah, speak up a little bit.
Wisdom of Solomon 7 and verse 7. Wherefore I prayed, and understanding was given me. I called upon the Most High, and the spirit of wisdom came to me. I preferred her before scepters and thrones, and esteemed riches nothing in comparison of her.
Damn.
Right? Because, you know, that is being rich, having this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, first and foremost. You know, and then, you know, the carnal things, you know, will come behind that, you know, but first and foremost, without this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, you could be a billionaire. But, you know, if you ain't got that, then it's all for naught, ultimately, you know? And how do you get that wisdom, knowledge, and understanding? By first and foremost fearing the Heavenly Father, fearing Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai.
Slaki, precept, through thy precepts I get understanding. So you gotta understand the precepts and the you know, Yahweh Bahasham Shai's ways before you kind of can understand the carnality of it, because we are carnal, we're in the flesh. So that's why that's that balance. So the Lord is giving you this wisdom so you can kind of balance yourself, so to speak.
Navigating the flesh.
Yes, sir. Yes, there it is.
Verse 9. Neither compared I unto her any precious stone, because all gold in respect of her is as a little sand, and silver shall be counted as clay before her. I love her above health and beauty, and chose to have her instead of light, for the light that cometh from her never goeth out. So, you know, emphasizing how important wisdom is. You know, it's the true light. You know, it's the true riches. You know, because ultimately it's coming from the source, Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. Hey, I'll keep reading Slaki if I may. Verse 11. All good things together came to me with her, and innumerable riches in her hands, and I rejoiced in them all, because wisdom goeth before them, and I knew not that she was the mother of them. I learned diligently and do communicate her liberally. I do not hide her riches, for she is a treasure unto men that never faileth, which they that use become the friends of the Most High, being commended for the gifts that came from learning. Right, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, he possesses wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. You know, in fear, you know, you become friends of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. Because that you know, the Heavenly Father delights in a man, you know, who seeks these things, you know, because ultimately, it starts out with the fear, you know. And that's it.
Back to the article.
All right, back at the article. It says, the Most High not only promised to make King Solomon the wisest man ever,
Oh yeah, so like I forgot to mention this article is from BibleStudy.org. It just goes. It's just the title is How Rich Was King Solomon. But you got it.
it says, it says, the Most High not only promised to make King Solomon the wisest man ever, but also to make him uniquely rich. There are 4 primary ways King Solomon, in a fairly short period of time, became the wealthiest king alive. He was made rich through commerce and trading, gifts he received, tribute money paid to him, and heavy taxation. It says commerce and trading. Excuse me. King Solomon also built a fleet of ships at Ezion Geber. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, hell yeah. It said then Hiram, king of Tyre, he's a damn Hamite, sent his servants with the fleet of seamen who knew the sea to work with the servants of King Solomon, and they went to Ophir and acquired 420 talents of gold from there. And that we got 1 Kings 9:26 to 28. And we can break that down.
And then when we get that, if we're gonna go to the 10th chapter, we might as well just start from 1 because But
Oh yeah. You want to get the precept first?
oh yeah, my fault. Yeah, get the precept first.
1 Kings 9:26.
1 Kings 9:26. And King Solomon made a navy of ships in Ezion Geber, which is beside Eloth, on the shore of the Red Sea, in the land of Edom. And Hiram sent in the navy his servants, shipmen that had knowledge of the sea, with the servants of Solomon. And they came to Ophir and fetched from thence gold 420 talents and brought it to King Solomon.
Right. And real quick, man, they got a picture on this website. If you go on it, it's a huge gold bar weighing about 551 pounds. You know, big ass thing. You know what I mean? So, man, you got counting water. You know what I mean? And you know, it's gonna go into too. When they was sitting on ships, man, they was going to actually going to America. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna go into that too. And Lil Willin.
Big ass gold bar.
Hell yeah.
That's real money, man.
Yep. But you finished with that one, right?
What?
The Kings.
That's
Nine.
the end of the chapter.
Yeah. Can you go to 10 and 1?
Come. 1 Kings 10 at the top. And when the queen of Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon concerning the name of Yahweh, she came to prove him with hard questions. And she came to Jerusalem with a very great train, with camels that bear spices.
Who the fuck is this bitch, man? You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, Salaki, man, but like, it's like a woman trying. Can you read that again, Salaki, man? Because it's like she came to challenge King Solomon. Who are you to challenge that man? Which is all through the spirit.
She came to ask.
Inquire. I know, but you know what I mean?
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's, you know.
But that's how the nations are going to be. Isaiah the 2nd chapter.
Right. Yeah, it should have been a king. I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A woman coming in and inquiring and stuff like, come on, man. What kind of shit is that?
You got it.
It reads, verse 2 again, and she came to Jerusalem with a very great train, with camels that bear spices and very much gold and precious stones. And when she came in, and when she was come to Solomon, she communed with him of all that was in her heart.
And you know, we're gonna go back into that navy too again because it's in the same chapter. But just showing you right here that, like you said, these different nations gonna come bearing gifts to us, giving us spices, camels, people, you know, their daughters, all that. You know what I'm saying? And matter of fact, keep going.
Verses 3. And Solomon told her all her questions. There was not anything hid from the king, which he told her not.
Right.
And when the queen of Sheba had seen all Solomon's wisdom, and the house that he had built, and the meat of his table, and the sitting of his servants, and the attendance of his ministers, and their apparel, and his cupbearers, and his ascent by which he went up unto the house of Yahweh, there was no more spirit in her.
Right, bitch, goddamn fainted, and hey, that's how it's gonna be in the kingdom, man. These heathens is gonna be in all of us. They can be coming. With Isaiah 2 says they're gonna come up to Jerusalem. Matter of fact, I'm gonna get that real quick before we continue. Real quick. Oh, the water. You start at 1, 2, and 1. You know. And I'm gonna get the next one too, because it says they're gonna be looking at us like, damn, this is surely the people of God. You know, but you got it.
Mm-hmm. It's Isaiah chapter 2 at the top. It says, the word that Isaiah the son of Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem, Yahweh and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's, Yahweh's house, shall be established in the top of the mountains.
Mm-hmm. So the mountains goes to the governments, or the government, mountains and hills, the lesser governments, rulerships. We're gonna be on the top of all that, because that's part of our blessing in that Deuteronomy 28, which we're not in right now. We still under the curses, but the Lord's lifting that off of us. But the blessing is what? That you shall be the head and not the tail. But right now, obviously it's the other way around. But you got it.
House shall be established at the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. All nations, bro. Because these different nations, they ain't gonna be doing what they doing in the kingdom, right? What they doing now, fucking ham, letting cows piss on them, and so on and so. They ain't gonna be none of that. Eating, with different nations eating unclean animals. They gonna be learning from us.
Elon gonna eat the fucking beef.
Yeah.
Damn, Elamite's gonna eat that beef, man.
God, yeah.
Verse 3, and many people shall go and say, come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord Yahweh, to the house of the Most High of Jacob.
Mm-hmm. Just like Queen Sheba did. She was like, oh shit, I got it. Because we gonna read more in it, but she was like, I heard the fame, and like, damn, this shit is crazy. So that means all different nations was talking like, damn, man.
They were wooed, man. They were wooed at the fame of which King Solomon wasn't famous. She wasn't hungry for it, but the Lord gave it to him because the Lord gave him wisdom to get the riches, which we read earlier.
Yep.
It says, to the house of the Most High, Yahweh, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of the Lord Yahweh from Jerusalem.
Right, see? Yeah, and that is not happening right now in the land of Israel. So that shows you that those people are not the people, because they got fucking kosher pork, they got tattoo. I think the biggest
Pink
festival with tattoos and shit, yeah, Pink City, So yeah, so Lord willing, when Yahweh Shai reigns and rules, it's finally gonna be perfect righteousness, and the whole earth is gonna follow that vibration, And look at Jake now. You see these different nations, they already follow Jake. They listen to our music, act like us, and all that shit. But that's just a low level. But how much more in our godly state, they gonna really listen to us and actually follow our ways,
They don't want to be like a righteous Israelite. They want to be like a heathen Israelite.
Right.
A nigga named LeBron James or I keep saying Shaquille O'Neal. Them niggas, them P. Diddy niggas, they want to be like them niggas, them cool Lil Wayne niggas. They don't want to be like the righteous Israelites. Right. They want the folly Israelites. Guerrilla Hebrew type niggas,
Right.
Verse 4, and he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks.
Right.
Yeah,
right. Because you nations ain't gonna be fighting each other. And now you gonna put your swords into pruning hooks. You gonna be out there farming and shit, or you gonna be on our fields doing our thing. That's what you gonna be building and growing. You see.
It's like a Nickelodeon show when two people about to fight and you don't want them to fight, kind of pull them back with their head and like doing this shit, Hey, what the fuck you fighting for, man?
Right.
You know what I mean? It says, nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. O house of Yahweh, come ye and let us walk in the light of the Lord Yahweh.
That's pretty much point.
Yeah.
See sometimes.
Nah, that's pretty it.
All right,
I
got another precept real quick. Isaiah 45:14. Thus saith Yahweh, the labor of Egypt and merchandise of Ethiopia and of the Sabaeans, men of stature, shall come over unto thee, and they shall be thine, slaves, possession, They shall come after thee, and chains they shall come over, and they shall fall down unto thee. They shall make supplication unto thee. And supplication means to beg. All right. You know, saying, surely God is in thee, and there is none else. There is no God. You see, so that's what's going to happen in the kingdom. They're going to see God in us, you know, and they're going to fear. They're going to see the eyes glowing and Jake hovering and shit, chariots, show of force, you know what I'm saying? And they ain't going to be nobody going to fucking flap their tongue at us, man. They're going to be in complete order, you see? But we can go back to that Kings, Lord willing.
First Kings.
Yeah, God.
First Kings 10 and verses 6, it reads, she said to the king, it was a true report that I heard in my own land of thy acts and of thy wisdom. Howbeit I believed not the words until I came, and mine eyes had seen it. And behold, the half was not told me. Thy wisdom and prosperity exceedeth the fame which I heard. Happy are thy men, happy are these thy servants, which stand continually before thee, and that hear thy wisdom.
Right, because in the Josephus they said, I'm still trying to find it, but we're going to go into a little bit of Josephus. It's going to go into the article. But the Josephus, they said when Queen Sheba came, she thought the doorman was King Solomon. So that shows you that if that's just the doorman, that's a servant. You know what I'm saying? If he looked like a fucking king, then how much more what King Solomon looked like? You know? So even in the kingdom, you know, because I'm always going to go back and forth to King Solomon kingdom. Even 2/3, man. After you know, because after a while, you know, they're gonna be
smoke clears,
right? You know what I'm saying? They gonna be glorious, man. You know, they're gonna be way glorious. They're gonna be way better than fucking Jay-Z, because Jay-Z's a fucking billionaire. That shit ain't gonna look like nothing compared to what they gonna look like in the kingdom. But how much more the elect? Because this is gonna be order, man. And then how much more you have a shot? Imagine you have a shot, and man, shit.
Yeah. Bishop Nathaniel.
Oh yeah, yeah.
No.
Yeah. You
know what I mean?
You got it.
Verses 8, or verse 9. Blessed be Yahweh that God was delighted in thee to set thee on the throne of Israel, because Yahweh loved Israel forever. Therefore made he thee king to do judgment and justice. And she gave the king 120 talents of gold and of spices, very great store, and precious stones. There came no more such abundance of spices as these which the queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon.
So, yeah, spices, bro. God damn, bro. Cause what's that variety? Is it spice of life? Spice, you know what I'm saying? What's that saying goes? Yeah, variety is spice of life. You know what I'm saying? So imagine, cause you know, and we're gonna do that too in the kingdom too, cause certain lands can only grow certain things. You know, you only get
certain spices. Asia got the tea. Asia got pretty much Asia. That area got the tea, so to speak. They're known for that. Hell, Colombia, South America got known for the. I want to dance it tobacco, but I say coffee. I think coffee. Coffee. Like South America's coffee. Asia is the spices. Elam got the spices. America got the peacocks. Just gonna read that in the joints, man. So everybody got Lebanon got the trees. Yeah. So it's everything's known for something. Yeah. That's why we're gonna have an abundance of things, man. Giving tribute to the Israelites. And we got the spirit. You know what I mean?
You know.
It's Isaiah 60:10. It says, foreigners will build up your wall, in AMP. Foreigners will build up your walls, and their kings will serve you. For in my righteousness, wrath I struck you, but in my favor and grace I have had compassion on you. Your gates will be open continually. They shall not be shut day nor night, so that people may bring to you the wealth of the nations, with their kings led in procession. It says, for the kingdom which will not serve you, Jerusalem, shall perish, and the nations that refuse to serve shall be utterly ruined. The glory of Lebanon will come to you.
Yeah, because you say you have spiritual powers. What's that scripture? I think it's Zechariah. That says the nations don't come up and preserve. Hey, well, yeah, go ahead, quote it.
No, I was just ad-lib, worship 3 times a year.
Yeah.
Gonna send drought.
Yeah. So imagine that fear, man. Cause Esau, he got fear system like, okay, you don't pay your bills, I come, take your shit,
Take your credit.
right? You got a warrant. I send somebody come, arrest you, But imagine spiritual powers, like nigga, I'll end you, man. I'll make a drought without me even arriving there, So
Hurricanes or some shit.
yeah,
Landslides,
Mm-hmm.
earthquakes,
Yeah.
twisters,
Mm.
all types of,
Yeah.
catastrophic events, manipulating elements, Because what we're gonna rule the nation with a rod of iron.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a rigorous rule. If they don't obey. So the first 1,000 years they're going to get their ass whooped for sure.
Hell yeah.
And everything after that is going to be under our authority and our rule and our reign. Because we're going to be the governing body of existence with Yahweh Shai.
Mm-hmm.
So let him, not, let him, discipline. It's going to be bad. Any other nation. Because we got to keep the law continuing, the ways of Yahweh Shai continuing forward in the earth.
Real quick, before you continue, let me just give a real quick precept. Deuteronomy 2:25. This day will I begin to put the dread of thee and the fear of thee upon the nations that are under the whole heaven. Who shall hear a report of thee and shall tremble and be in anguish because of thee. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, and like I said, you look at it now, these heathens are already scared of Jake. They cross the street, you know what I mean? They lock their doors and shit. So how much more we need our right mind and our man? They're gonna be terrified to even, look in our eyes sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta listen.
No, I was just ad-libbing. They clutch their purses. They think we're the issue. Really, you the issue. You're the one that's red-handed, nigga.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Jake is wild and wicked, man. You know, YN's a crashed out spirit. But that's to bring in Jake. Jake is fed up, man. Jake is fed up with the conditions that they're in. So guess what? You're gonna have crash outs and YNs. I'm tired. I'm not tired of hearing about YNs, man, because that's what's gonna bring that spirit of like, man, Jake gonna get busy, man. And it's gonna bring in Esau like, all right, I had enough of you kill boy niggas, man. You challenger niggas, you charger boys, Hellcat niggas. So it's bringing that beautiful prophecy in, man. That we so eloquently need,
You got it.
Isaiah 60:13. The glory of Lebanon will come to you, the cypress, the juniper, and the cedar together to beautify the place of my sanctuary, and I will honor and make the place of my feet glorious. The sons of those who oppress you will come bowing down to you in submission, and all those who despise and treated you disrespectfully will bow down at the soles of your feet, and they will call you the city of Yahweh, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel.
Yeah, they're gonna finally acknowledge this because what's that Wisdom of Solomon 5? It said, we don't gotta get it, but it says, how are these numbers among the children of God? These are the saints, And then it's gonna be, man, the Lord is glorious, man, because this is for a long, long time. We ain't have no respect. The Israelites, the Israelites of the Bible was looked at as a so-called white man, and they would never look at us like, oh, y'all niggas would never, But the Lord is about to really put the whole nation on point, man. Put us on top from this low ass state, this nigga culture, man. 'Cause this nigga culture ain't it. You know what I'm saying? It's that black culture is horrible. We need this desperately. You know what I mean? But real quickly, because it's about. Oh, you gotta say something?
Another precept.
Oh, come on. Yeah, get your precept. I got a little something else.
Another precept concerning Solomon's reign, which Solomon's reign is pretty much a prelude of the kingdom. This was, us in the sovereign state, as mere mortals, and we're gonna come, become sovereign, as spiritual beings, But another precept, 2 Chronicles 8:7. This is all the people who were left of the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, the Jebusites, who were not of Israel, but were descendants of those who were left in the land, whom the Israelites had not destroyed, Solomon brought them up as forced laborers to this day. It's in the AMP.
Mm-hmm.
But Solomon did not make slaves of the Israelites for his work. They were men of war, his chief captains, and the commanders of his chariots and his horsemen. Just another example how he made the nations pay tribute.
He wasn't hating on Jake.
Yeah, he put the Israelites, his people, in these higher up positions, these high positions.
Pretty much, he made the Israelites the governing body, which that's by default, man. Esau, by default, you're not the governing body, man. It's us, man. We're gonna put y'all asses in slavery, man. We're gonna make sure things are squared.
Good. Alright, so real quick, because since we're talking about these nations giving us these riches like Queen Sheba, this is just an example. Let me get it real quick. This is called. This is what the heathen Darius, and they built a large ass temple, pretty much. It's like the largest building over there, I believe. They said pretty much where it was dedicated. Well, I'm gonna read it. So like I'm explaining this shit I got right here. But it says the Apodina is a large hall, royal reputations and state ceremonies. All right, and it served as a venue to showcase the king's power and authority through elaborate design and the presence of dignitaries from conquered territories. All right, so it says the purpose of it was it was a large hall. The great king received the tributes from all the subjects, all right, and then gave presents in return. And you look at the pictures of it, it shows like, I believe it was like 28 different nations, and it just shows them bringing nations to the presents to the king and shit. And it's just like, bro, and it gave me, and that's a spiritual. I was just scrolling this shit on Instagram, and I just seen that today, and it just gave me an idea. Like, we're gonna do the same shit in the kingdom. We're gonna have a big ass hall where Jake gonna parties with the king, and banquets and all that shit, and then you're gonna have the nations bring you shit, you on your throne and shit. You got the wine, they bring you presents and incense, going crazy,
Man, and that's
animals.
I'm sorry. And that's when you can sit on your high horse, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's when you deserve it, man.
Yeah.
We don't deserve none of this shit, man. You sit on your high horse, you're pretty, you got your fucking beautiful fucking lineups and shit.
Okay.
Your garments all unspotless and untouched. Sitting on, you sitting above the congregation. There's gonna be order. That's when we deserve it. We don't deserve none of this shit, man. You know what I mean? I don't like that shit, bro. I hate pride, bro. The biggest thing is pride, man. You gotta chin check yourself every fucking day, man. Because that shit can get out of hand. Which is totally understandable, man. Because we are the Israelites, bro. You so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans predominantly, man. But you gotta chin check that shit quick, man. Nip it in the bud quick, man. Because it can get you fucked up, man. Real talk, bro.
Go back to that Kings.
1 Kings 10 and verse 11. It says, in the navy also in Hiram that brought gold from Ophir, brought in from Ophir great Ophir. It says great plenty of almond trees and precious stones.
Right, you look at that almond trees. They said they pretty much the king discovered today. So it's probably lost. Who knows? But they would use it. They said it was real good riches, whatever with it. You pretty much use it for vessels and shit. Yeah, common. You know what I'm saying? So that was, I guess, a real good tree. Back in the day. But you got it.
Verse 12. And the king made of the almond trees pillars for the house of Yahweh. And for the king's house harps also, and psalteries for singers. There came no such almond trees, nor were seen unto this day.
Wait, so like what verse, man?
12.
Okay, come on. All right, you got it.
Keep going.
Yeah, you got it.
Verse 13. And King Solomon gave unto the queen of Sheba all her desire, whatsoever she asked, besides that which Solomon gave her of his royal bounty. So she turned and went to her own country, she and her servants. Now the weight of gold that came to Solomon in 1 year was 606 talents of gold. Beside that, he had of the merchantmen and of the traffic of the spice merchants and of all kings of Arabia and of the governors of the country.
And
Going to show you, if I could add on, just going to show you it was a well-organized machine. And that's the same thing that's going to be concerning the kingdom of heaven. It's going to be a government. You know, it's not going to be, like we always say, a whole bunch of niggas with little angel wings flying around, jumping cloud to cloud. No, it's going to be a system in place. A government that's going to rule the planet Earth in righteousness. You know, like you said, traffic. We're going to have, highways and, to bring merchandise, in and out of our gates. You know, it's going to be, a system that's going to run, constantly 24/7. It's the same thing with Esau, Edom. Any government, you got to keep things flowing. And
Well-oiled machine.
Yeah, you got to keep the land cultivated and the land Sabbath going to be practiced, et cetera, et cetera. And, it's going to begin with who? Yahweh Shai, just like it was with Solomon. When we were in a sovereign state and everything, like you said, was going like a well-oiled machine, it was with who? Solomon, which ultimately we know to be Yahweh Shai. Same thing when he gets his kingdom, But you want to make a point?
No, I'm good. You got it. Matter of fact, too, can you get Psalm 72 just on hold after this one? But you got it.
1 Kings 10 and verses 16. And King Solomon made 200 targets of beaten gold. 600 shekels of gold went to one target. And he made 300 shields of beaten gold. 3 pounds of gold went to one shield.
Right, and that's that's another thing too that's gonna come back, because you look at the buildings today. Some buildings are very good looking, whatever the case is, but in the ancient world things were more colorful, and even India, Elam. You can look at their little whack ass temples.
There's a variety.
And then they got I think they got like a fucking pillar that looks like it's floating. And I think scientists can't even explain certain things or how certain things are built. You know what I'm saying? So we gonna get that knowledge back. These heathens gonna get that knowledge back, because the heathens they good service, man.
Yeah, the Navy,
Yeah.
King Solomon's Navy.
Yeah. They can build some shit,
Look
man.
at China.
Yeah.
China's good.
Yeah.
It's fucked up, but
Yeah.
it look good. The cyber cities and shit, that shit's intriguing. They real craftsmen too.
Yeah, they fucking men
Temples
too.
and all that. They good at designs and good architects. Look at even on a lower level like manga or like anime.
Yeah.
How they can paint and draw. Back then, they had to draw every picture frame. So them dudes are very, very creative. You know what I'm saying? So like you said, they're gonna make perfect servants and perfect builders.
Moab with the silk, you know what I mean? I think he can make art out of silk too. I know out of spider web or some shit. He did some crazy shit. Some of that probably Jacob.
That's what it is. But it's silk. It's the same.
Is it the same thing?
Is it? It's the same
It's like
design,
webs,
so to speak.
but it's not like webs, but it's like how you obtain it.
Yeah, it's like anything, like clothing. Yeah.
Then
You gotta web the fuck out of it. Yeah.
Keep weaving it.
Interwoven. What do you call it? Yeah.
You got it.
Come. It reads, verse 17. And he made 300 shields of beaten gold. 3 pounds of gold went to one shield. And the king put them in the house of the forest of Lebanon. Moreover, the king made a great throne of ivory and overlaid it with the best gold.
The best go get, because in the kingdom we're gonna have the best of the best. That's our blessing that was brought upon Jacob. You're gonna have the fatness of the earth. All the riches, all the fatness. You're gonna get all the fat. And the heathen, they follow our lead. They gonna get a little something, but we gonna get the fatness. You see, just like Esau, he got the fatness of the earth right now. He got the best. You see, he got the best homes. With some places, Artesia River and shit. The so-called who's they living deliciously, bestly and shit. While we, got some bullshit. But you got it.
9 said he had a throne of ivory laid with gold. You know, ivory is like horns, like tusk, like elephant tusk. It says, verse 19, it says, the throne has 6 steps, and the top of the throne was round behind, and there were stays on either side on the place of the seat, and 2 lions stood beside the stays. The 12 lions stood there on one side, and on the others upon the 6 steps. There was not the like made in any kingdom. So you had like lions and rows going up his 6 steps, you know, which was 12 lions altogether. That's fire. And they said it was roundabout, so we had like a big backrest, you know, something to that effect. It says, and all King Solomon's drink vessels were of gold, and all the vessels of the house of the forest of Lebanon were of pure gold. None were of silver. It was nothing accounted of in the days of Solomon.
Right. Silver is, you know, that's
It's a
decent
good
too.
property too.
Right, but yeah,
Damn.
the gold, god damn, bro. Like, and I know there's benefits too, drinking vessels with gold, copper, you know, things like that. We ain't gonna have fucking plastic bottles and all that bullshit in the kingdom. You know what I'm saying?
We gonna have turtles with choking off fucking bottle caps and shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Animals, you know, you got the trash and shit, man. Nah, man, they gonna be living too, man. They gonna be eating too. That's why it tells you in Proverbs, bro. Everybody's gonna be prospering, bro. Everybody's gonna be peaceful, man. And if you ain't peaceful, we're gonna put an absolute big foot up your fucking ass, man. Cause that's what we want. That's what Yahweh Shem Yahshua wants. Obedience.
It says, verse 22, for the king had at sea a navy of Tarshish with the navy of Hiram. Once in 3 years came the navy of Tarshish, or Tarshish. It says, bringing gold and silver, ivory, and apes and peacocks.
Now we can get into that precept. What's that? 2 Ezra 13. What's what I got it written down? 13 and 40. You know, that you know, because he sent his navies to America. You know what I'm saying? Back. You know, because really people knew that land was over there. Even what's his name in that
Columbus.
movie?
Columbus?
Yeah, Christopher Columbus. I think that movie was 1492 or some shit. I think that's what it was called. But it shows you in that movie. He said, "How do you know there's people over there?" And he said, "Ezra's." You know what I mean? Because they knew that Second Ezra's knew. You know, the scripture described us going to that land. You know, but you got it.
Yeah. 2 Ezra 13 and 40. Those are the 10 tribes. Let me see. Yes, verse 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea, the king of whom Salmanassar, the king of Assyria, led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt.
Right, which is the Americas. You know, but you got it.
That they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land.
And you see Jake, you see Gad with the fringes and stuff like that, and land Sabbath, and so on and so forth. Even the language was found among burials, the Hebrew.
Guidestone, I'm not just go to Guidestone. Yeah, the what's that? What they call it?
Oh,
the stone.
The
stone of the 10.
I know you're talking about the
commandments. Yeah. See, yeah.
God,
It says that they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land, and they entered into Euphrates by the narrow places of the river. For the Most High then showed signs for them and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through the country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half.
Right.
And the same region is called Ashereth.
Right. So yeah, so all that, you know, that process back and forth, you know what I'm saying? And that shows you that Azareth is America. You see what I'm saying? But so like where we at? You got more of that in that Kings?
I mean, if you want to keep going, this is going into his riches, etc.
You might as well finish that, and then after that we can go back to the article. Yeah, Lord willing, yeah. You got it.
Verse 23.
Well, actually, so like after that, that's Psalm 72. Yeah.
It says, so King Solomon exceeded all the kings of the earth for riches and for wisdom. And all the earth sought to Solomon to hear his wisdom, which the Most High had put in his heart. And they brought every man his present, vessels of silver, and vessels of gold, and garments, and armor, and spices, horses, and mules, a rate year by year. And Solomon gathered together chariots and horsemen, and he had 1,400 chariots, and 12,000 horsemen, whom he bestowed in the cities for chariots, and with the king at Jerusalem. And the king made silver to be in Jerusalem as stones, and cedars made he to be as the sycamore trees that are in the vale for abundance.
Right, yeah, I was just about to say that. Yeah, abundance, that shows you right there. Hey, that same thing. I think you read that too, right? Isaiah 60. It says for brass, y'all big gold, or something like that.
Read down, yeah.
Yeah, come on.
It says, and Solomon had horses brought out of Egypt, and linen yarn. Yarns was knit and sewn, you know.
Yeah.
It says, and king's merchants received linen yarn at a price.
So them horses, man, you get the best horses because you know what I mean. Because hey, going to a little Chinese history, this nigga, he's like a general. His name is Lu Bu, and he had one of the best horses. It was called like a red hair or some shit. You know what I'm saying? And they were saying it was the most, pretty much. I forgot what they described it, but it was fast and you know all that. In the kingdom, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have the fastest, the most, the choice wines, the choice horses, all that. You know, dogs and different creatures and animals that's gonna be from different countries and so on and so forth, you know?
Yeah, top of the litter, man. Top pick of the litter, man.
Come on, you got it.
Verse 29, last verse. And a chariot came up and went out of Egypt for 600 shekels of silver, and an horse for 150. And so for all the kings of the Hittites and for the kings of Syria did they bring them out by their means.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So now, Lord willing, you go to that Psalm 72. You read 1, and then can you skip down to 8? And then
Absolutely. This is Psalm 72 at the top. A psalm for King Solomon. Give the king thy judgments, O power, and thy righteousness unto the king's son. Jumping down to verse 8. Psalm 72, verse 8. He shall have dominion also from sea to sea, and from the river unto the ends of the earth.
They that you saw with the King Solomon rule, you know, he had them navies and so on and so. And then on top of that too, the land of Israel was a lot bigger than it is right now. As you see, the so-called Israel today, you know what I'm saying? It was a lot bigger. I think he stretched all the way up. You know what I'm saying? Let me see if I can get a map real quick.
I wanted the state of Israel.
Right. Right. That bullshit. You know, you see Esau trying to expand, you know, but hey, the Lord ain't gonna allow that, you know. But he went all the way to Sidon, and then went all the way down to like the wilderness of Zin. And yeah, it's all just look up on a picture. Matter of fact, I can show it right here. I forgot I can do that, you know. Show a quick picture, a little willing. The motherfucker was huge, man. You see?
Yeah, it was provinces, regions, but it was all in accordance to the spirit, you know, the Lord, man.
Yep.
They ain't cut it up, free Palestine, all that bullshit.
Right.
We ain't had no issues with neighbors.
Right.
King Solomon had no issues next door.
Right.
You know, he owned that shit.
Yep.
You know?
And then that Amos 9, it says we're gonna take Edom. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna take the actual land. So all that let me see, hold on. All this gonna be ours too. You know, that's gonna be included to in the land of Israel.
That's right.
You know? But of course the whole earth is gonna be ours, but that's gonna be the main joint right there.
That's HQ.
You know? But you got it.
It says, verse 8, Psalm 72 and 8. He shall have dominion also from sea to sea, and from the river unto the ends of the earth. They that dwell in the wilderness shall bow before him, and his enemies shall lick the dust. The kings of Tarshish and of the isles shall bring presents. The kings of Sheba and Seba shall offer gifts. Yeah, all the kings shall fall down before him. All nations shall serve him.
Yes, sir. Cause they can you get that too real quick? That Psalms 2. You know the heathen. You know. That's what they made for, man. These heathens really just made for our sake. Everything, I always like to say that everything really was made for our sake through the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai. You know, Yahweh, Yahweh Shai. You know, heathen, because it's going to say that in Psalms 2. Women, it says woman was created for the man, not the man for the woman. Children, it says, blessed is a man that have his quiver full with arrows. I'm talking about children.
Yeah, popping off, man.
Yep, the earth. The universe, everything is literally created for us, you know? But you got it.
This is Psalms chapter 2 at the top. It says, why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord Yahweh and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder.
Okay, so like, can you go to, you start. Matter of fact, keep going, fuck it.
Verse 3, it says, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us.
Right, because right now you see the heathen raging. They got the plan to bring the so-called New World Order, which they're going to get a little bit of it, but the Lord ain't going to let that fully come to pass. You know, you're not going to micro-see-hip everybody, and especially one of the main goals of this Edomite and these different nations is really to wipe out the righteous. You know, that's not going to happen, you know, but you got it.
Verse 4, he that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall have them in derision. Then shall he speak unto them in his wrath and vex them in his sore displeasure.
Right, the Lord's laughing at you, man. The Lord's laughing at Moab. You think he about to rule, get next and shit, you know? Russia, you think Russia think he's just gonna destroy America and then that's it, and he gonna continue? No, you will Edomite too, you know?
Sure.
You see? But you got it.
It says, then shall he speak unto them in his, verse 6, yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. I will declare the decree of the Lord. The Lord hath said unto me, thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee.
Right, speaking about Yahweh Shai, but you got it.
It says, verse 8, ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thy inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession.
Right, well, you know, look, if something is your possession and your heritage, that means you own it. So if you own a person, what's that mean? That means that person is your slave. You know, and then he said the uttermost parts of the earth too. You know, you gonna have
4 winds.
Yeah, you know, fucking what's that? New Zealand and Australia.
Yeah, all them beautiful Greenland, Iceland, all them beautiful areas, Switzerland.
Yep.
You know, we're gonna have Spain, Cyprus. We're gonna have all that back, bro.
Yep.
And them the most beautiful areas, man.
Cause
you know what I mean?
Yeah, because Jake was ruling in Scotland and shit.
Hell yeah.
You know, we gonna get all that back. You
Beautiful
know?
islands, man.
You see?
I can't wait, man. Verse
Right, it said, because you have been faithful over little things, will make you rule over many.
Right.
It's gonna give us our cities, you know, our portion of, you know, our provinces, so to speak, to rule over and govern the heathen. You know?
Verse 9, Psalms 2, verse 9. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron and shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel.
Right. We can stop there. You know,
Okay.
pretty much, you know,
Yeah.
because you look at the word, and what's that, Revelation 2, it says rod of iron goes into rigor. You know, we're gonna be, because you know, man, we whoop these heathens' asses, man, because of what they have done to us. You know, because what the scripture says, Obadiah 1, we don't gotta get it, but it says, thou should not have. You know, because Esau trying to justify, oh, well, y'all going off, y'all, you know, so I'm cool. He said that in Jeremiah 50. He said,
Jeremiah 50 and 7.
Yeah, you know, but nah, you shouldn't mean, you know, of course, obviously everything is set up by the Lord, but you further the fiction. Now you get into our DNA, y'all doing too goddamn much, you know, and you should, ultimately, you shouldn't have touched us. You touched the Lord's apple of his eyes, so now the Lord gonna have to touch you, and he gonna use us to do it. You know, Lord willing, you know, we part of that number. But let me see, what was he? Oh yeah, he finished that Psalm 72. Lord willing. Lord willing. Got like 54.
Psalm 72 and where we at? Verse 8. Yep, I'm gonna read Psalm 72 and 8. He shall have dominion also from sea to sea, from the river unto the ends of the earth. They that dwell in the wilderness shall bow before him, and his enemies shall lick the dust. The kings of Tarshish and of the isles shall bring presents. The kings of Sheba and Seba shall offer gifts. Yea, all the kings shall fall down before him. All nations shall serve him. For he shall deliver the needy when he crieth, the poor also, and him that have no helper.
Right. Can you skip down to 15?
Verse 15. And he shall live, and to him shall be given of the gold of Sheba. Prayer also shall be made for him continually, and daily shall he be praised.
Right, and that's another thing too in the kingdom of heaven, you know, because the Most High's name in His Son is not pushed, you know, because like I said, you got those so-called who's over there. They supposed to be the people of God. If they the people of God, shouldn't we be pushing out righteousness and telling? There should be endless Bible movies of King David and with the little fucking doodoo court, you know what I mean? That little, something. I mean, if you the fucking people of God, you know what I'm saying? That's cause you know what I mean. But you got Hollywood movies about homosexuals and shit, man.
Yeah, faggots getting married and you know what I mean? Like that like I thought you guys were the
they own the porn sites.
Yeah, they own everything, man.
Where all types of sodomy happens and nastiness.
Yeah, everything's praise, man. No beards on the people's faces. That's praise. Bald heads of praise. You know what I mean? Like, what kind of shit is this, man? I thought y'all was the people, man.
They control all the media, Hollywood, the rap labels, you know?
Yeah, Leor. Leor Cohen, I believe that's his name. He's the head of fucking hip hop of you niggas.
So he pushing constant iniquity, man. You know?
You got it.
Verse 15 at the end. Verse 16. There shall be an handful of corn in the earth upon the top of the mountains. The fruit thereof shall shake like Lebanon, and they of the city shall flourish like grass of the earth.
Right, because that goes into our resource. Rich is pretty much milk and honey, corn, all that is gonna be flowing. You know what I'm saying? And it's gonna be endless. A little willing, we can go more into it, but I think we stop there, and we can just finish out that article. We just got a little bit left on there.
All right, back at it. It says out of the BibleStudy.org about King Solomon. It says his partner, and I'm under the banner of commerce and trading. It says his partnership with Hiram also brought him every 3 years things like ivory, monkeys, apes, etc. 1 Kings 10:22-23. The Jewish historian Josephus, also wrote about his rich trading for gold and silver. For the king had many ships which lay upon the sea of Tarsus. These he commanded to carry out all sorts of merchandise unto the remotest nations, by the sale of which silver and gold were brought to the king. It says, and a great quantity of ivory and Ethiopians and apes, and they finished their voyage going and returning in 3 years' time. Antiquities of the Jews, book 8, chapter 7.
Yep. So we're
I'm at gifts now.
Okay, so we can skip that because we already talking about her. Can you go to the one after that?
Tribute.
Or this part, the Bible. So you got that, and then just skip down to here. With Josephus part.
Might have a different one than me. You got an Android, bro.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's way different. All right, right.
Okay.
All right, back at it. It says the Bible says that everyone who came to inquire of the king's wisdom brought him a gift, either animals, spices, precious metals, and so on. 1 Kings 10:25. Josephus also wrote about how rich King Solomon was, though the gold and other goods he received. Now the weight of the gold that was brought him was 666 talents, not including in that sum that was brought by the merchants, nor what the toparchs and kings of Arabia gave him in presents. As accordingly,
Are you reading Josephus right now?
yeah, I'm reading what he.
Oh, come.
Accordingly, there went a great fame all around the neighboring countries, which proclaimed the virtue and wisdom of Solomon, King Solomon, and so much that all the kings everywhere were desirous to see him, as not giving credit to what was reported on account of its being almost incredible. They also demonstrated the regard they had for him by the presents they made him, for they sent him vessels of gold and silver and purple garments.
Right.
Yeah. It says, and many sorts of spices and horses and chariots, and as many, and many mules for his carriages as they could find proper to please the king's eyes by their strength and beauty. Antiquities of the Jews, book 8, chapter 7.
Con. So now, from there, now we can just skip down to Slovakia. We can skip down to where is it at? Cause they try to accumulate that money to today's money.
Yeah, all right.
Right. So we go to network Slovakia.
Gotcha. So we got net worth out of the same article. It says, what exactly was King Solomon's net worth? Oh yeah, they're gonna equate it. Exactly how rich was he? There was never been a human in in history. Yeah, they try to equate some shit, man. Yeah, nobody was richer than that, man. It says, rich was he? There has never been a human in history who had so much gold and silver at his fingertips, such that, well, fair enough, such that it was as common as pebbles, since we know he ruled Israel for 40 years and that he brought in roughly $1.1 billion of gold each year. We can safely assume his assets were in multiple billions of dollars. That's bullshit, by the way. It says, King Solomon, however, possessed even more riches. That's the wisdom. Than what was mentioned above. He also inherited wealth from his father, King David. Regularly received gold and silver from the kings of Arabia. Had other governors and merchants give him stuff. Plus he was, God Lord. Plus he also heavily taxed his own people. As if all the above was not enough, King Solomon also received tribute money from countries and kingdoms, plus gold, silver, ivory, animals, slaves.
Like that taxation on his people came down the line. You start, bugging out.
Yeah. He was fair, man.
Yeah, with Rehoboam. Was it Rehoboam, I believe? He said, I'm going to bring even more rigor upon this nation.
Yeah.
He, forwarded, the taxation on Jacob.
Jackson.
Yep.
It says, due to his business partnership, with the king of Tyre, and he garnered gifts of gold, spice.
We pretty much stopped there. They pretty much just
Not regurgitate, but
unless you see.
I got the wisest human.
You can read that too,
This the wisest human out of the same article. The Most High made King Solomon the wisest human who should ever live. With such a gift, the king felt it was necessary to write down that he understood and pass it on to others for their benefit. The result of his efforts was the book of the Proverbs, where he wrote concerning being rich and its true place in life. Happy is the man who finds wisdom, for her proceeds are better than the profits of silver, and her gain than fine gold. Proverbs 3:13 and 14.
So that's pretty much it in that one. So now we can just get I got just a few more precepts. So let me pull it back up. Okay, so matter of fact, can somebody get Ecclesiastes 2 and 3? And then Song of Solomon 3 and 6. Yeah, we just read those real quick.
It's Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 3. I sought in my heart to give myself unto wine, yet acquainting my heart with wisdom, and to lay hold on folly, till I might see what was that good for the sons of men. which they should do under the heaven all the days of their life. I made me great works. I builded me houses. I planted me vineyards. I made me gardens and orchards, and I planted trees in them of all kind fruits.
Yes, sir.
Man, that's talking about young man.
You know?
Got busy.
Easy.
I made me pools of water to water therewith the wood that bringeth forth trees. I got me servants and maidens, and had servants born in my house.
Yes, sir.
Also, I had great possessions of great and small cattle above all that were in the Yarashim before me.
Yes, sir.
I gathered me also silver and gold, and the peculiar treasure of kings, and of the provinces. I gat me men singers and women singers, and the delights of the sons of men of musical instruments, and that all of sorts.
Yeah. I can't wait for that in the Kingdom, boy, because I love music. Jake knows music, man. And if you watch that show, The Leopard off of Netflix, it's a limited series, So, but it was a scene. They went to the little dance hall and shit, and then they was dancing on the floor, but on the top, you know what I'm saying? It was like some art and shit, but it was like a little opening, like a little circle. And you had little niggas on there, motherfucker, with the violin, and they just singing and dancing and shit. Playing live music while they in the ground dancing, and it was just some beautiful, kingly, type deal.
Some Titanic shit.
Right, because I don't want no speakers, and of course speakers is raw as hell now, but in the Kingdom we're gonna have more live music, and you're gonna have male singers and women singers all in your house, living in your house, and they're gonna have to be in your quarters and shit. Man, it's gonna be crazy.
We ain't gonna be listening to Jodeci in the Kingdom.
Right.
We're gonna be listening to some raw shit, man.
Yeah.
Verse 9, Saul was great and increased more than all that were before me, and Yerushalayim also my wisdom remained with me. Thanks, man. Yeah. And whatsoever mine eyes desired, I kept not from them. I withheld not my heart from I withheld not my heart from any joy, for my heart rejoiced in all my labor, and this was my portion of all my labor.
Right, and real quick, he said, whatsoever my eyes desired, I kept not from them. So I remember, I brought it up before, but I had a dream where I died and shit. Me and my sister, we died, and we went before Yahweh Shai and everything, and he showed me mercy. Cause at first, when I went into the room for my turn, his face was completely dark, like you couldn't even see it. And then I was scared as fuck. I just closed my eyes and had my head down. And then I was just thinking in my head, I'm gonna be submissive to him like a woman is supposed to be to a man. And as soon as I thought that, his face, my eyes were still closed, but I could see through my eyelids that his face started shining. And then the next scene, we was in the Kingdom. It was like in this big ass house. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't crazy big, but it was like a little big house, whatever. And then I was just thinking, like, man, I want like a river or whatever in front of my house. And I went out, opened the door, it was there. I want some type of juice, whatever. I had like a refrigerator, whatever. I went in there, it was there, But in the Kingdom, bro, whatever your heart desire, you gonna get. You know what I'm saying? Because we're gonna have fucking riches, but also on top of that, we're gonna have spiritual powers.
And we're gonna have sitch witches too.
Yeah. Easy.
But we don't have no sitch witches. We're gonna have Israelite women, we're gonna have concubines, man.
Hell yeah. Ooh. Matter of fact, we done right there. We can get that Psalms 45. Matter of fact, what's that at? Psalms 45 and let me see. This is speaking about Yahweh Shai. Let me read it real quick. I'm gonna skip around a little bit. Psalms 45 and 1. My heart is inditing a good matter. I speak of the things which I have made touching the king. My tongue is the pen of a ready writer. Thou art fairer than the children of men. Grace is poured into thy lips. Therefore God has blessed thee forever. Because that Hebrews, because Yahweh Shai, he's the top angel. He's it's Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. He's the second. Over everything. Gird thy sword upon thy thigh, O most mighty, with thy glory and thy majesty. In thy majesty ride prosperously, because of truth and meekness and righteousness, and thy right hand shall teach thee terrible things. Alright, now let me skip down to 6. It says, thy throne, O God, is forever and ever. The scepter of thy kingdom is a right scepter. Thou lovest righteousness and hatest iniquity, therefore God, thy God, has anointed thee with the oil of gladness above thy fellows. All thy garments smell of myrrh and aloes and cassia, if I'm pronouncing that right, out of the ivory palaces whereby they have made thee glad. So man, imagine Jake, because he was, of course, like I said, it's talking about Yahweh Shai, but we're gonna be joint heirs. Imagine Jake will be smelling good garments, and ain't gonna have that fucking whack ass cologne, and you gonna have actual, you know,
So Dolce Gabbana.
right? You
Yeah,
see,
Black Obama.
smack, bro.
Frankincense, pink
Right.
pussy.
Right.
Some sexy red shit.
Yeah, I'm about to say that. Yeah. What was that?
She's like, yeah, she's disgusting.
Yeah.
Gonorrhea.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. This bitch is nasty.
Abomination, man. It says, King's daughters were among thy honorable women. Upon thy right hand did sit the queen in gold of hair. How you say it again?
Of fear.
Of fear. Dua. Hearken, O daughter, and consider, incline thy ear. Forget also thy own people in thy father's house. So shall the king greatly desire thy beauty, for he is thy Lord. Ooh, for he is thy Lord, and worship thou him. So that's just like you said, we're gonna have women in the kingdom too, man. They're gonna be decked out and shit, and we'll keep going. It says, and the daughter of Tyre shall be there with a gift. Even the rich among the people shall entreat thy favor. The king's daughter is all glorious within. Her clothing is wrought of gold. You know? Damn, man. It's gonna be crazy, bro. So shall she be brought unto the king, a remnant of needlework. The virgins, her companions, the virgins, because you know all women ain't gonna be used and abused, and you coming to her, she coming to you, she all traumatized and shit. She got, she got her ass beat by her ex-boyfriend and this, that, and the third. You gotta deal with this shit, you know what I mean? No, she gonna be a virgin, she gonna be young, you know, and well built. You see, she ain't gonna be fat, she gonna be smelling good, you know. But it says, in the, let me see, in the daughter, and the king's daughter is all glorious within. Her clothing is wrought of gold. She shall be brought unto the king in remnant of needlework. I read that, so like it. Verse 15. With gladness and rejoicing shall they be brought. They shall enter into the king's palace. You know, not to the king's fucking apartment. Not shitting on brother's apartment, but
Apartment 4B.
right. You know, we ain't gonna have that shit. You gonna have palaces and shit, man. Instead of thy fathers shall they be thy children, whom thou makest, so like that, whom thou mayest make prince in all the earth. And I will make thy name to be remembered in all generations. Therefore shall the people praise thee forever and ever. You know? So just going into that real quick. But Lord willing, we just get a few more. Can we get that Song of Solomon 3 and 6, and then can we get Song of Solomon 5 and 11? You know.
The Songs of Solomon 3.
Come.
Songs of Solomon 3:6 says, Who is that cometh out of the wilderness like pillars of smoke, perfumed with myrrh and frankincense with all powders of the merchant? Behold, his bed, which is Solomon's 80 valiant men, are about it of the valiant of Israel.
Right, and of course, you know, Song of Solomon is like very, what they call it, metaphor. But just to show you this glory of King Solomon's bed, he had guards around it. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm gonna do some shit like that. Like I want to keep my angel's guard, and you know, just to do it, you know. But you got it.
Verse 8 said, They all hold swords, being expert in war. Every man have his sword upon his thigh, because of the fear in the night. King Solomon made himself a chariot of the wood of Lebanon.
Right.
He made the pillars thereof of silver, the bottom thereof of gold, the covering of it of purple, the midst thereof.
Because purple mean that's like a royal color.
Royal,
Yeah,
it's a royal color.
You know.
Purple, scarlet, that reddish color.
Come.
The midst thereof being paved with love for the daughters of Jerusalem.
Right. Come. And then
I got that 5 or 6.
we go one more verse, like
Verses 10 or Salaki 11. Go forth, O ye daughters of Zion, behold King Solomon with the crown wherewith his mother crowned him in the day of his espousals, and in the day of the gladness of his heart.
Right. You know. So hey, just going into this glory, this thing cherry, the wood of Lebanon, all that, man. Hey, what's that scripture say? He gonna beautify the my footstool. Roughly paraphrasing, you know. The Apocrypha says Jerusalem's gonna be filled with sweet smelling trees and so on and so forth, man. It's gonna be glorious. But you got it. And the next one.
So, Song of Solomon 5 and 6. So,
5:11.
5 and 11, sorry. It says, his head is as the most fine gold, his locks are brushy, so what the fuck, I can't see. Is bushy and black as a raven. Right. His eyes are as the eyes of doves by the rivers.
That was the point, pretty much.
Okay.
Matter of fact, you keep going, but you got gold in his hair. You know, Jake, because in the Josephus it explained too that Jake had gold in their hair and it was like glistening in the sun and shit, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Jake was, man.
That's next level. That's next level fly nickel shit.
Yeah. Crazy, man. But you got it.
I always reference the men off of the Wiz. The Doormen, how they had the gold flakes in their head. Yeah. It was sparkling, the garments were sparkling.
Man.
In the night. You know?
Man. You got it.
Verse 12. His eyes are as the eyes of doves by the rivers of waters, washed with milk and fitly set. His cheeks are as bed of spices, as sweet flowers. His lips like lilies, dropping sweet smelling myrrh. His hands are as gold rings set with the beryl. With his belly is bright ivory overlaid with sapphires. His legs are as pillars of marbles.
Hey, what's that scripture? Well, pretty much how the scriptures say they're gonna be decked out. You know, Jake gonna be very decked out. You know, but with precious stones and all these rubies and shit all over the damn place, man. You know, but you got it.
It says his countenance is as Lebanon, excellent as the cedars. Verse 16. His mouth is most sweet. Yeah, he is altogether lovely. This is my beloved. Beloved. Jake be using that word. And this is my friend, O daughters of Jerusalem.
Right. You know, but just to show a little bit of, you know, Solomon's personal glory, the things that he did, you know. But now I got just like 2 more scriptures and then, you know, we can close out. Unless anybody got anything else.
I'm good.
Con, can we get Psalms 112 and I think you start at 1 at that one. And then the last precept, can we get Psalms 144 and start at 11?
112 at the top?
Yeah.
Psalms 112 at the top. Praise ye the Lord. Blessed is the man that feareth the Lord, that delighteth greatly in his commandments. His seed shall be mighty upon earth. The generation of the upright shall be blessed. Wealth and riches shall be in his house, and his righteousness endure forever.
Right. That's why Scripture says, if your delight be then in thrones and scepters, you know, honor wisdom. So, and what's wisdom? Is the first step. Is that what? The fear of the Lord. So, if you fear the Lord, you will be able to be a joint heir with Yahweh Shai as well, you know, and receive these things, you know. But let me get that Psalm 144.
Psalms 144. You said 11.
Yeah.
It said, rid me and deliver me from the hand of strange children, whose mouth speaketh vanity, and their right hand is a right hand of falsehood.
Right, because we want to get the fuck out of here. These heathen, you know, and all you see today is just falsehood and vanity. You know, we want to. What's that scripture says? One of my favorites in Peter. It says we're gonna have a heritage incorruptible, man. You know, you get a car, that shit breaks down. You get clothes and shit tears, you know. But in the kingdom, all the things that we have is gonna be ours forever. You know, nobody gonna be stealing, none of that. You see, but you got it.
It says that our sons may be as plants grown up in their youth, that our daughters may be as cornerstones, polished after the similitude of a polish.
Right, they're gonna be polished, man. Our children ain't gonna be, you know, walking around, you know, snot, the fucking the little diaper hanging and shit. They're gonna be royal, you know. Even our women, what they said that Deuteronomy says the woman's foot wouldn't even touch the sole of the damn earth. The sole of their foot wouldn't touch the ground. You know, you have servants carrying them. You know what I mean?
That shows you how delicate that woman is, man. You know?
You see?
That black bitch.
Yeah, you know? Come, you got it.
That our garners may be full, affording all manner of store.
Right.
that our sheep may bring forth thousands and 10,000s in our streets,
Mm-hmm.
that our oxen may be strong to labor, that there be no breaking in nor going out, that there be no complaining in our streets.
Right. So we be just rich and enjoy, fully enjoy the earth like it's supposed to. Because like the Lord said in Isaiah, He said He has created the earth to be inhabited. You know what I'm saying? He has created it for our sakes, and we gonna enjoy everything about it. We gonna enjoy the nature, the trees, the spices, the animals, the slaves. We gonna enjoy everything. Then on top of that, the Lord's gonna bless us even more and make us go to different galaxies and so on and so forth. So then imagine the riches over there. There's gonna be more different precious stones, and there's probably, you know, it's endless, you know.
Mhm.
But you got it.
It says, happy is that people that is in such a case.
Mhm.
Yeah, happy is that people whose God is Yahweh.
Right. Hey, that's the point. You know, happy, because you look at the word blessed, it goes into the word happy. So we're gonna be blessed.
An inheritance too.
Yep. Gone. Yep.
You know what I mean?
So, yeah, man. Beautiful. Hey. So Lord willing, hopefully that's edifying. You know, be patient. You know, the Lord is gonna give us this in due time very soon. And if He, you know, finish the work, you know what I'm saying? So that's the main thing. Finish the work of the Lord and maybe get the fuck out of here soon. So with that, we give our praise and glory to
Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Kakadash.
and double honor to the apostles of JMS for Ruel. As well to the brothers against break. We're gonna say shalom.
Shalom. Happy Shalom.